going to hear from Eagle Heart. They've been in Toronto since about 1984, and they've performed for notable people such as Rigoberta Menchú and Desmond Tutu. So good evening, everyone. My name is Kara, and on the behalf of the Mining and Justice Solidarity Network, I'd like to welcome you to this event. First, I just want to briefly mention a few logistics. There is a children's area in the back corner, so if any kids want to go and play and hang out, the wonderful people waving over there. There'll be some volunteers hanging out with them all night. So tonight is a really important night because land defenders from Turtle Island and Abiyala, or so-called North America and Latin America, are coming together to stand in solidarity against TC Energy as they're both taking on TC Energy and their subsidiaries in their respective communities. We are honored to welcome them here. We have Wet'suwet'en land defenders from the territory in so-called British Columbia, and we have Mixtec, Otomi, and Nahua land defenders from their lands in Puebla, Hidalgo, and Veracruz. Both groups have traveled almost 4,000 kilometers to be here, so we're really grateful that they made the trip. And since we're talking about land defenders, it's only right that we should start by acknowledging whose land we're on right now. So we are in so-called Toronto, but originally it is the land of Tigarondo. And so we are on stolen land. The land is the ancestral territory of many different communities, including the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca and Petun, and the Mississaugas of Credit. This is stolen land that needs to be given back. We gather on the land that is subject to the One Dish, One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which is an agreement between the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee confederacies and allied nations to peacefully share and care for the land, which stands in stark contrast to what the colonial Canadian government is doing. And so it's important for us to recognize that this is the law of the land and that we as settlers also need to uphold this. And Toronto is an important spot to be talking about pipelines and anti-mining and stolen land because Toronto is an epicenter for all sorts of extractive activities. We like to call it the belly of the beast at the Mining and Justice Solidarity Network. And it's because we're surrounded by so many companies and a lot of money that goes into funding harm done against communities, both in Canada and across the world. So it's on those of us who are here in Toronto to hold people in our own communities accountable. That means putting a leash on large businesses, as well as holding the government accountable because they do continue to fund and support extractive industries, both here in Canada and as we'll hear later on from the Mexican delegation in Mexico and in many other countries around the world. And then finally, we hope to see everyone at the rally in March tomorrow. It's a great way to show up for land defenders, and we continue to keep showing up for land defenders, not just tonight and tomorrow, but after. So many people came out to the Grassy Narrows March recently, which was really wonderful to see. So we hope we can really keep that energy going for land defenders who are doing some incredible work. Woo! Yeah, round of applause. Land defenders. I'd now like to introduce our first speaker, which is Chief Na'Moks, and he's the Hereditary Chief of the Sleydo clan, or Beaver clan, of the Wet'suwet'en Nation.
As was stated, I am Chief Na'Moks of the Wet'suwet'en. I am a hereditary chief. I am not elected. Elected do not have any authority. You know, on December 11th of 1997, we finished a court case. We brought Canada to court to prove that we exist, that our authority as hereditary chiefs exists, always has and always will. And so, when we take on companies such as TC Energy to build pipelines through our territory, it's illegal because we haven't agreed to it. Not once did we ever say yes to it. Not once will we ever say yes to it. Now, in our authority, over our 22,000 square kilometers, you have to remember, it's 22,000 square kilometers. It is unceded. It is non-treaty, and we've never been defeated on our lands. When they bring on companies such as TC Energy, with all that money they have and all the violence that they put upon us, and for them to have the narrative that they win and that these projects will go through no matter what the people say, we as Wet'suwet'en, we said no from day one. And the only reason that we say no is because we are the land and the land is us. When we say as Wet'suwet'en, we don't say we're just doing this for the betterment of the Wet'suwet'en. We say it's for the betterment of all. Now when we talk about generations that we fight for, that we have clean air, clean water, actual freedoms, that is for your children and yourselves too. Not once will we ever hear a Wet'suwet'en hereditary chief say, I'm doing it for my children. No, we're doing it for all your children. The ladies that are here, so powerful, so strong. They face down the barrel of guns. They come through our doors, axes and power saws. And us being a matrilineal society, everything that we do is directed by the women. Yes, I carry a high name, but that name belonged to my grandmother. So when the women get up and they stand up and prove how strong our nation is, that is for you as well. You know, we've had the opportunity to speak at the United Nations. We've had the opportunity to talk to the World Bank in Switzerland to tell them exactly that their money has no power in our land. Money has no soul. Money has no heart. You do. And that's the important part, that each one of you must remember, that each of you make a difference. They keep on trying to put out the narrative that these things will happen no matter what. No, it's people such as yourselves that can stop it. What they are truly afraid of, yes, they're afraid of what's old, and I love that. I'm a geek. I absolutely love that. We can make them nervous, but we're more powerful together. When we have the opportunity to talk to the money people about how heartless they are, and are they aware of what their money is doing, not only in Canada, but worldwide, we have to remind them that billionaires are so poor, all they have is money. You are richer because you have a heart, you have a soul, you have humanity. If money thinks it can control the world, they're absolutely wrong, because they don't know how to go home to hug their children. They don't know how to go home and talk about the next generation. That money will be gone. They need to think about their children. We have to remind them of that. When they get to the extent of violence that they pulled on the Wet'suwet'en, to me it proves that they've already lost. When you wallow in that mud of violence, you're lost. Where's the future in that? I am Chief Na'Moks, but under the umbrella of Chief Na'Moks is also the board chief name and house chief name of police. And one of the things they teach you as we're growing up, the true essence of a warrior carries a heavy burden, and that burden is of peace. It is the heaviest burden you will ever carry. That burden of peace must be what we use. They come at us with violence, but we will not stoop to their level. We are the high-ranking chiefs of our nation. Our ladies have proven that amazing things can happen if you remind yourself that you are human, that you have a heart, and you're doing the right thing. You being in this room and watching, you're doing the right thing by paying attention. They are scared because you are here, and I love that. We've talked about a rally tomorrow. Come there, bring your friends. Let's scare the hell out of them, because it's the holiday. You know, as Wet'suwet'en, when we took on Canada to be recognized, to prove that we have our authority, that we exist and will continue to exist, in there is a line that the judge said. He said that use of occupancy. So that's what we do. We use our lands, we occupy. We just recently opened up a feast hall on the territory, right out there where all the violence is. That is our House of Parliament. That is our worship place. It is sacred. I dare them to attack that the way they attack our homes. What they are afraid of is exactly what is happening. The world is watching. They need to be held accountable. When you hold them accountable, all they'll do is try to lay the blame on somebody else. One short little story, because we are storytellers. You know the Attorney General of British Columbia, who signed the documents for them to attack and invade our lands by the RCMP, CURD, which is part of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, was created to fight those who oppose industry, basically land defenders and Indigenous people. That Attorney General who signed those documents to send hundreds of armed forces at us is now the Premier of British Columbia. That was his reward. The former Premier, John Horgan of British Columbia, he stepped down and he now works for a coal company. If they could be influenced to sell their souls for dollars, that's where you all must hold each one of your political, voted in people on your behalf, you hold them accountable. Don't be afraid to ask them a question. Don't be afraid to tell the truth. The truth will always win. It's when they come at that violence where they are drowning in a loss. They've lost their heart, they lost their soul, they lost their future. And they're barely hanging on, because it is people such as yourselves who stand together that make that difference. We've been so fortunate to run into so many amazing people such as yourselves, and know that your heart is in the right place. If you have like-minded thinkers, like-minded hearts, you change this world. We often say, you know, this planet does not need man, but man sure needs this planet, and that's where we can make the difference. We change things on our own. Politicians don't like it when I say this, but I believe that politicians are like dirty diapers and they should be changed regularly. When we talk about the future, as I stated, it's for all. It's not just for the Wet'suwet'en, it's not just for the indigenous people. It is for every human. You need clean air, you need clean water. You need to have freedom to do what you wish as a human being. When they come onto our lands to build pipelines, poison our water, putting in injunctions so we can't even be on our territory, and then tell the world that they're doing it for what is called progress. Well, if that is progress, if progress is destruction, do we really need to be a part of that? Progress is looking after Mother Earth the way she looked after us. Progress is looking after your children, giving them clean air, clean water, freedom to be a child. And if we allow them on this path that they're on, think about how it's going to hurt your children and your grandchildren, because that's how we think of it. And I think that you all coming together such as you are tonight, you'll make a hell of a difference, because it's when you're silent that nothing happens. It's when you stand up and when you use your voice, and use that voice properly, that you can make change that they have to listen to. I was very fortunate this year to talk to the world banks in Switzerland. And it was amazing to me that 65 central banks control 95% of the world's GDP. And in one country, Switzerland, and yet they can control the planet, what they remove. But they never talk about what they're replacing. You need to stand together, and you have to remind them. Your heart is telling you, your mind is telling you, your conscience is telling you to continue to stand together. We as Wet'suwet'en, we can't thank you enough, because if we worked in isolation, we wouldn't be able to make the difference that we do. But also, we would rather be at the front lines than have you do it, because that's our duty. Aside.
It will be Ortencia. Sorry about that. And she will be accompanied by who's providing translation tonight. So if you're over in this area and you hear some noise, it's Anna providing the translation. And then when a Spanish speaker is up here, she'll provide consecutive translation for everybody.
Buenas noches. Me gustaría mencionar desde lo más profundo de nuestro México una frase que me gusta mucho de Quetzalcóatl, la serpiente emplumada, cuando dice: amo el canto de los pájaros, amo el perfume de las flores, pero amo más a mi hermano el hombre. A mi hermano el hombre porque geográficamente estamos alejados en territorio, pero muy cercanos en el corazón para defender nuestra madre tierra. Nosotros venimos de la Sierra Norte de Puebla, límites con la Sierra Otomi del estado de Hidalgo, en México. Habitamos en una franja de unos 60 kilómetros, pueblos totonacos, pueblos otomís, pueblos náhuatl y mestizos. En esta franja, nuestros pueblos originarios y los mestizos compartimos todavía una gran cultura que tenemos arraigada desde antes de la llegada de los españoles a nuestra América. En esa franja que nosotros habitamos, estamos defendiendo las montañas, el agua, el aire, la riqueza natural y cultural que aún conservamos. Ahí estamos nosotros. Iniciamos una lucha en contra de el gasoducto Tuxpan-Tula que iniciaba en el 2016 por la Transcanada, ahora TC Energy. En esta franja nosotros empezamos pues a la deriva, yo diría, un poco hasta llegar a conformar nuestro consejo, un consejo regional que surgió con el nombre Consejo Regional de Pueblos Originarios en Defensa del Territorio Puebla Hidalgo. Y ahí es donde nosotros iniciamos una lucha a la cual pensamos que todos los que estamos aquí soñamos y estamos dispuestos a defender a nuestra madre tierra.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to start with some words from Mexico, from the serpent Quetzalcoatl, who said the following: I love the songs of the birds. I love the perfume of the flowers. But what I love the most is the human beings. It's human beings who I love the most, because geographically, we live so far apart from each other, but we are close by heart, because all of us here are defending Mother Earth. I come from the northern part of Puebla, in Otomi Nahua, Hidalgo. We live in a small area of 60 kilometers where people from the Nahua people, Otomi people, Mestizo people, and Totonaco people all live together and share a common culture, a culture that we've been sharing and keeping alive since before the Spaniards arrived. In that territory, we are defending the mountains, the water, the air, and the richness of our culture. There in that area, we started a struggle or a fight against the pipeline Tuxpan-Tula pipeline that began its project in 2016, led by TC Energy. We have started there our resistance, and our resistance became, or rather, we started in separate entities, but then we were all combined into one common group called the Regional Council of Indigenous People in Defense of the Territory of Puebla and Hidalgo. This is where we carry out our fight. And we believe that if we continue along with you, I think that our dreams will come alive to defend Mother Earth, because that is our objective. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just for reference, Ortencia Reyes Valdivia is a teacher and a land defender of Mixtec origin, and she teaches basically the entire school in her community, which is pretty amazing. I would now like to line up Eliana Acosta Marquez, who's just going to briefly introduce the film, and then we'll start the first film.
Yo acompaño a los compañeros aquí en la delegación de México y bueno, yo he registrado buena parte de la lucha que han dado contra el gasoducto y lo que vamos a presentar aquí es una conjunción de luchas en la cual está la defensa del territorio, pero también la autodeterminación de las mujeres por la democracia y también el cuidado de sus aguas. Y bueno, pues van a ver un fragmento de este documental. Muchas gracias.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eliana, and I am here with the Mexican delegation. I come from an academic background, along with, and I'm here with the rest of my compañeros. Today, what you will see in the documentary is how we all come together to struggle in defense of Mother Earth. But not only in defense of our Earth, it's also about women fighting for self-determination and the care of our waters.
Este lugar es un lugar privilegiado. Hay muchas especies, vegetales, animales.
So first we have Ortencia once again, and just to add briefly to her bio, she is the founder of the Regional Council of Indigenous Peoples in Defense of the Puebla Hidalgo territory. We also have her colleague Salvador Aparicio Olvera. He is also part of that union, and he is from an Otomi community, Chile de Juarez, and he is a campesino, a land defender, and a social activist. And finally, we have Veronica Munier, who has been a human rights defender for the last 38 years in Mexico. She works with the Nahua community, and she's the co-founder and coordinator of the Center for Human Rights of the Peoples of Southern Veracruz.
Muy buenas noches. Me da mucho gusto que, sobre todo, decir que son hermanos de lucha. Allá en mi región, como ya decían los compañeros, nosotros venimos de la región de Puebla, de pueblos originarios, y bueno, allá iniciamos una resistencia contra el gasoducto Tuxpan-Tula de la empresa Transcanada, y logramos, con amparos, con la resistencia del pueblo, logramos retener ese monstruo tan grande que es gobiernos y las empresas. Esas empresas que solamente buscan recursos para ellos mismos, no para compartir con los pueblos. Y allá pues nosotros estamos defendiendo lo que es el bosque. Allá nosotros contábamos con bosques muy enormes, pero la avaricia de los gobiernos han venido a destruir tanto que pues a quienes están ocasionando el daño son a nosotros los indígenas. Y nos hemos dado a la tarea de también proteger nuestras aguas, porque allá también la están concesionando, ¿sí? Como decía un compañero, es mercancía para ellos, es el oro blanco, y nosotros tenemos abundancia de agua. También allá hemos defendido nuestras culturas, como son los cerros sagrados, y bueno, pues tenemos mucho que ofrecer. Nos hemos dado la tarea, una vez que vimos la suspensión definitiva, nos hemos dado la tarea de hacer un proyecto de desarrollo turístico para generar empleo, para que nuestros hermanos no se vayan o no emigren, y poder pues ayudar un poco su economía. Y tenemos una gran tarea de seguir trabajando. Creo que esto no se ha terminado, hay amenazas, sobre todo por otra región, que bueno, como nosotros logramos la suspensión, Ellos andan buscando otra ruta, pero ahí tenemos una gran tarea todavía. Esto no termina. Creemos que con la lucha, con la unidad de más pueblos, más países, pues creo que podemos lograr mucho. ¿Sí? En estos lugares, yo conocí cuando era muy niño, había mucha lluvia, pero desde luego ahora con el cambio climático, con tantas cosas que se dan, ya no llueve como antes. Y hay muchas tareas que los gobiernos no hacen, que esas tareas nos las dejan a nosotros, o más bien no quieren que las hagamos nosotros. Siempre están en contra de nosotros, impidiendo, en lugar de pues, darnos la oportunidad de que nosotros hagamos nuestra tarea, porque somos nosotros los que vivimos ahí, los que tenemos que seguir defendiendo nuestros derechos y defender nuestras costumbres, sobre todo nuestras plantas, nuestras semillas criollas que nosotros producimos ahí. Esa es la invitación que nosotros queremos hacerles a todos, y bueno, pues muchas gracias por permitirnos este espacio.
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here and to be able to call you our brothers and sisters in struggle. As you know, I come from the region of Puebla, where I come from an indigenous community. There, we started to fight against the Tuxpan-Tula pipeline owned by TC Canada. We were able to fight back using different amparos or protections and by applying a lot of resistance. We were able to stop that project. We understood that the corporations only want one thing, and they are only looking to profit from our land and our resources. As a friend of mine said in the video, they see our resources as a commodity. But here we are defending our forests, big forests that we have. But the greed of the government destroys so much of our forests and so much of our nature, harming us, especially the indigenous communities. But we will continue to protect our waters that they call white gold, the commodity. We will continue to defend our culture, our sacred hills, our sacred mountains, because they have so much more to offer. Once we noticed that there was the suspension to the project, we decided to start a project of our own, a project for developing our own land or our own community with ecological tourism. That would be able to help all of our brothers and sisters so they don't have to migrate and leave their communities. We know that this fight is not over. There are more threats every day. And yes, we were able to achieve the suspension, but I know that they're looking for other routes or other ways and other places to create that pipeline. So this is not over. It is for us, for the unity of the masses to come together, for peoples, for countries from all around to come together and fight, because together we will be able to achieve so much. When I was a child, when I was growing up, there was so much rain in my community. I remember it used to rain so much, but now that is no longer the case. The governments have the responsibility to protect our land, but they're not doing it. Not only are they not doing it, they don't allow us to defend our land. We have to defend our traditions, our plants, our seeds. So thank you all for inviting us here today and giving us this space.
Piaritok niwan pushni yolpaki Timonechkowa Niga Toronto. Eso significa en náhuatl buenas tardes. Mi corazón está muy contento por estar reunidos aquí en Toronto esta noche. Somos integrantes del proceso de articulación de la ciudad de Santa Marta, que a su vez formamos parte del Congreso Nacional Indígena, conformado en el 1996 al llamado de nuestros hermanos y hermanas zapatistas. Y pues con las comunidades indígenas náhuatl y Nontapuy del sur de Veracruz, conformamos el movimiento regional indígena en defensa y respeto por la vida, que estuvimos desde el 2013 al 2022 luchando para evitar el ingreso de empresas eólicas, mineras y de extracción de hidrocarburos en nuestros territorios. Y lo logramos y vamos a seguir luchando para defender nuestros ríos y manantiales que quieren ocupar para abastecer de agua a los parques industriales que quieren construir como parte del corredor interoceánico en pues nuestra región. Pero la amenaza más difícil que viene ahorita es el gasoducto que viene que pretenden construir por el mar, un gasoducto marítimo en todo el litoral veracruzano, y que pues es difícil porque es más difícil la acción directa en el mar que en la tierra. Entonces nos estamos articulando con varias organizaciones, entre ellas Greenpeace, que están iniciando un proceso legal por posibles afectaciones a nuestros arrecifes en la zona. Y bueno, estamos en lucha entonces para defender. Es un proyecto estratégico. Este gasoducto es de capital mayoritariamente canadiense, pues de TC Energy, en asociación con la Comisión Federal de Electricidad. Y pues vamos a estar luchando para evitar esto. Y pues ayer fue 12 de octubre, para nosotros Día de la Resistencia y Dignidad Indígena, y nos estuvimos movilizando en todo el país para exigir el alto a la guerra contra nuestros hermanos y hermanas zapatistas y todos los pueblos indígenas del país que estamos resistiendo y luchando para defender nuestros territorios. El gobierno quiere dividirnos entre pueblos indígenas buenos que se dejan controlar y los pueblos indígenas rebeldes que defendemos a nuestros territorios y nuestra vida. Y nuestro grito ayer fue: nuestra lucha es por la vida. Y estamos luchando. En México hay muchísimos capitales canadienses, las empresas mineras y TC Energy en este caso. Muchas gracias.
First, a few words were shared in Nahuatl that mean good evening. My heart is very happy today to be here with all of you in Toronto. I am part of a joint action from Santa Marta, where we are the National Congress for Defense of the Land, along with our brothers and sisters, our Zapatistas brothers and sisters, fighting in the southern part of Veracruz, also part of the regional council there. A fight that began in 2013 and ended in 2022 to fight against the extraction and mining companies, because we wanted to defend our waters and our creeks against these mining companies, and we were able to achieve that. We also wanted to defend against the interoceanic corridor industries. One of the biggest threats that we are seeing now is that they want to do the pipeline in the sea on the coast of Veracruz. Direct action is much more difficult when it has to be done by sea than by land. But we are partnering along with other organizations such as Greenpeace, who are starting a legal process against the damages that is being done against our resources. The pipeline or the project are mostly led, or with the capital that comes from, it's mostly Canadian capital, from TC Energy, along with the CFE, which is the Electric Federal Commission, Those three are working together to continue to work on this project. But we will continue to fight against this. Yesterday was October 12th. It's the day of resistance and dignity for Indigenous peoples. And we will continue to fight against war, especially the war that is brought upon our brothers and sisters, our Zapatistas brothers and sisters. We will continue to fight along with them to defend our territory. The government loves to be able to say that they have divided us. They love to say that some of us will accept it while others resist. But we are united. Our struggle, we say, our struggle is for life. That is what we stand for. Thank you.
Bueno, solo les voy a ampliar un poquito más de información acerca de nuestra resistencia. Tres cosas fundamentales para enfrentar este monstruo que no llegó a nuestro territorio, lo que es TC Energy. En un primer momento fue la cuestión social, la movilización social, la difusión de información en todas nuestras comunidades, las que ya les mencioné anteriormente. Eso fue muy importante para que todos nuestros pueblos, la gente pudiera tener información acerca de qué nos podría ocasionar el dejar pasar en nuestro territorio un gasoducto. A la par de esto, nosotros, otra ruta que tomamos fue la jurídica, en la cual se promovieron 5 amparos en los juzgados federales del estado de Hidalgo y del estado de Puebla. Un amparo lo promovió la comunidad indígena totonaca, el pueblo totonaco de Cuautepec. Otro amparo lo promovió la comunidad Otomi de San Pablito, que pertenece al municipio de Pahuatlán. Un tercer amparo lo promovió la comunidad Otomi del pueblo de Chila de Juárez, que pertenece al municipio de Joney, Puebla, de donde viene el compañero. Estos 3 amparos, el amparo de San Pablito y de Cuautepec, fue muy rápido, que nos dieron a los 2 meses una suspensión provisional y posteriormente de unos 6-7 meses nos dieron la suspensión definitiva los jueces, y esto fue que frenó muy rápidamente la entrada de Trascanada. Los 2 amparos que se promovieron en el estado de Hidalgo, un amparo fue más amplio, donde estábamos acogiendo todas las comunidades desde Veracruz, Puebla, Hidalgo y el Estado de México, alrededor de unas 456 comunidades. Nuestro abogado es la estrategia que hizo macro y después micro en cada una de las comunidades. El otro amparo que se promovió, un cuarto amparo, fue de la comunidad de San Nicolás, comunidad Otomí, que pertenece al estado de Hidalgo. Ese amparo también se promovió en los juzgados del estado de Hidalgo. La otra ruta que nosotros pudimos difundir fue la mediática. Difundimos en redes, difundimos en todos los medios regionales, estatales y a nivel país, de lo que estaba ocurriendo en esa zona de nuestra sierra. Eso nos ayudó a poder, desde ese entonces, fue en el 2017 cuando nosotros empezamos a tener contacto con Ana Salir, que está aquí presente. ¿A dónde está? Ah, ya está. pero fue solamente por los medios, o sea, nosotros no sabíamos por algunos medios que también estaban luchando aquí en Canadá. Entonces, esa fue como nuestra estrategia que nos ayudó a frenar y que en nuestro territorio no ha pasado hasta ahorita, pero lo que está pendiente es que hubo un cambio de ruta, y en ese cambio de ruta pues no sabemos qué vaya a pasar, es la incertidumbre que está, qué va a pasar en esos nuevos territorios. Está ahí la incógnita, está ahí la espera, qué es lo que va a suceder con este gobierno y con los contratos que pues se siga dando con empresas extranjeras. Entonces, y lo último, pues todo esto actualmente nos lleva, hay muchos problemas, está la tala clandestina, está la llegada del narcotráfico, están las concesiones de agua ya en nuestro territorio, y pues son como los problemas que nosotros pues queremos en este momento dar continuidad, porque una fue la lucha en contra del gasoducto, pero todos van llegando en busca del oro verde. Gracias, compañeros, y pues aquí vamos a estar.
I wanted to take this opportunity to offer a little bit more of information about our resistance. When the monster arrived at TC Energy, we applied 3 different strategies, or 3 different routes. The first one was, how were we going to mobilize? Well, we started by sharing information. It was very important to keep everyone informed. All of the communities needed to know exactly how they would be affected if this project actually went through. Then we had the legal route with 5 different amparos or protection orders. They were in different places like in Hidalgo and Puebla. One of the amparos or the protection orders were in Coatepec, and then the other one was led by the Otomi people in Pauatlan. The other one was by the Otomi people in Chila Juarez in Oney. And these 3 amparos were quite quick when we filed them. In just 2 months, we were able to gain the interlocutory injunction. And then after that, we were able to achieve the suspension of the project. Now, this stopped the entrance of TransCanada. And then after that, we had 2 more amparos. One of them was quite wide, that covered the areas of Veracruz, Puebla, Hidalgo, Mexico City, and it included 456 communities in total. So our strategy was from the macro to the micro. Then there was another amparo from San Nicolas, Otomi, in Hidalgo that was filed. Then the third route was, how are we going to make sure that our message got out there? We used all types of media platforms, social media. We contacted people within our regions. We had national outreach, provincial outreach. We were trying to diffuse disinformation all over the place. Then in 2017, we contacted Ana Salih, who is here, and this was done by social media. We noticed that the fight is not only in our territories, but the fight and the struggle is also here in Canada. So those are our strategies, or rather were our strategies. We do know that there has been a change where they are rerouting the pipeline, and this creates a lot of uncertainty. What are those new territories that are going to be affected? We don't know. What will happen to those territories? So we're going to continue to fight against these contractors, these foreign companies, and the governments that are not protecting us. The problem is also in the illegal logging, drug trafficking, and the water concessions that are already being given. So we have to stand against these pipelines because they're coming after us, after the green gold. Thank you.
Next, we're going to be presenting two films created by Wet'suwet'en and land defenders. The first one is called Invasion, and the second one is called KKR, Coastal GasLink, and General David Gates.
Come and get us some bread or eating.
Sleydo, who is the spokesperson for the Get 'em Done checkpoint on Wet'suwet'en territory. She's been in charge, or she's been occupying that land since 2014 with her husband and 3 children. Next, we have Eve Saint, who's also a Wet'suwet'en land defender, and she is a financial divestment campaigner for the Get 'em Done checkpoint and a mother of 2 beautiful babies. And finally, I'd like to invite up again Hereditary Chief.
Denise, Sakaize, Skaize, Sleydo, Sydney, Get 'em Done, Hesley, Toten, Isden. I just want to start out by thanking the organizers of today's event, tomorrow's event, and our time here visiting, and to our delegates from so-called Mexico that are here to talk with us and share information with us. I want to thank you also for the song that came today that you shared with us. It was really beautiful and is always a really inspiring way to start a talk and a discussion. And I want to thank the ancestors of this land for fighting so hard to keep these territories alive and for the people that maintain the territories here. We've learned a lot in the last little while. We saw a couple little clips of what's been happening in Wet'suwet'en territory. We saw some new information about the ex-director of the CIA, David Petraeus, and his new role, pushing pipelines through indigenous lands. And I think what we the conclusions that we can come to are that we know what TC Energy is all about. We know what it's like to be indigenous peoples that have violence coming into our territories. Somebody mentioned before that people don't know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen because we have been living it for the last decade. We know the destruction that is going to happen to territories that pipelines come through. We know that the drugs and the alcohol and the gang violence and the domestic violence, the destruction of our waters, of our sacred headwaters, our ability to drink from Zinkwa, our sacred headwaters, where our salmon spawn. We know that those things are going to be destroyed, that our communities are going to be at risk, that our indigenous women are going missing. We know all of that. We can share information. We can share our experiences about what that is like because we know what is coming for you if this pipeline comes through your territory. We know what is happening to indigenous peoples all over the world, and we think, how can we help people in other countries? This is globalization, imperialism. We know that this is our responsibility, just as much as it's been everybody's responsibility to stand with us. We know that it's our responsibility to stand with other people who are about to face the same fate that we have. But we also know a hell of a lot, thanks to people like David Petraeus, the ex-director of the CIA, thanks to Kurg, who is private mercenaries, foresight, private security, special arms of the RCMP created and designed just to repress, harass, and surveil Wet'suwet'en people on our own lands. We have learned so much. They have had to literally follow us around 24/7 for the last several years to push this pipeline through our territories. And they're not done. They haven't made it through the mountains. We've seen the devastation, everything that we've been fighting for, trying to protect with Zinkwa. They've drilled under our sacred headwaters. And they've used military-like force to be able to do it. They cannot and could not proceed with this project to the extent that it's been done without military-like force in our territories, without literally filming us every second of every day that we are on our territory, sitting outside of our homes, sitting outside of our village sites, arresting people arbitrarily for driving down the logging roads, being on our territories, practicing our culture. But we have learned from that. They have made us stronger, they have pissed us off, and they have pissed everybody off. We know what we can do as allies. We know that when we stand up together, we are a powerful, threatening force. Or why would they need the ex-director of the CIA to create a manual that they are using against us? We can literally point out those tactics and strategies that they're using against Indigenous people in so-called Canada, that they are going to use against the people in Mexico, that they are using against people all around the world in order to destroy our lands and destroy the futures of our children. But we aren't going to let them. This has never been about one pipeline. This has never been about one project. This has always been about the defense of the Yinta, the defense of the territories, the defense of our sovereignty as Indigenous people, the defense of our future generations. And so we will never give up. They won't complete this pipeline. Over the years, they've lost millions and millions and millions of dollars thanks to all of the work that people in this room have put into our struggle. People all around the world have put into our struggle. We didn't do this alone. And we don't expect these people to do it alone either. Because we have learned the hard way what we need to do to win. And we want to share that information, we want to share our strength, we want to share our energy. Because an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. And we know, a mentor of mine that's taught me a lot about Indigenous resistance has always said, hope is not a strategy. We cannot hope to win. We have to have hope, yes, but we need to plan. We need to prepare. We need to protect what we have left, because we all have a vested interest in what we have to protect. We all have to do this work together, because one of their main tactics in that counterinsurgency manual is the divide and conquer. We have heard the same things every single time and through all of our conversations so far in the last couple days about the same tactics that are being used against Indigenous people to steal our lands and destroy our lands. And so we know what we're up against. We know how we have to fight. We know that we have to fight together. And we know that we have to do it at all costs. We wouldn't be where we are today without all of you, without everybody that's put in and sacrificed everything to get us to where we're at. We're not gonna win this fight, we're winning this fight. And the fire that is lit in every single person that has been involved, that has put their heart and their soul and their bodies in line, that have been in jail, that have experienced violence by the police, we're winning. And we're going to continue to, because we won't stand for the type of treatment that's happening to Indigenous people and the type of desecration that is happening to our sacred sites, our future generations anymore. And so we have to stand with these people. We have to stand with each other always, and we will win. Awitsa, Masai.
Wow, oh my God, that was amazing. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Eve. I'll just It's just I just would like to thank everyone for coming. Thank you for our relatives making the big long journey. Thank you for the drummers. I actually have a history with this building. I grew up in Toronto, and I actually got introduced into the culture and my identity in this building. I became part of a youth group here, and actually this is where I found my voice. This is where I found, learned about the history of our people. So it's nice to be in this building. Okay, so I started doing solidarity work, learning about the struggle since they got their injunction in 2018. And as you can see, yes, we have been trying to fight, or we are fighting this pipeline for a number of years. And yes, we are winning. And as you can see, action, 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 and endurance. And we are keeping it going. You know, it may seem like, they're trying to say, yes, it's, this amount completed, this amount completed. But it's only that one pipeline. They've been trying to build pipelines through that territory for over a decade, right? And actually, there are dozens more pipelines that are trying to get through those territories. So we need to continue fighting, right? So you've seen in the past 5 years the difference of climate has been happening. So you know how critical this moment is. I just like to give you something to think about. Challenge yourselves. Challenge yourselves, because you know what? When I went to the blockade in 2020, when I was arrested and I left my whole life, I left my job, I left my home, I left school, I was like, I have to do this. This is it. Because I want to be able to sit down with Creator and be like, I tried everything. And we need everyone. In the next 10 years, what do you think that's going to look like? Nestle's coming in, trying to privatize water and take every single drop away from us? Boo, shame. With Zinquak, we can drink out of that. So 12 more pipelines want to go through that territory. What do you think is going to happen to that river? We're not going to be able to drink it right out of the water, right out of the river like that. So we need everyone. We need everyone to continue, and thank you so much. We've seen shut down Canada. You've seen what happened, wildfire all across the nation, all across the world. We have the power. We have the power, like Chief Na'Moks said, right? It's we have the heart, we have the soul, and we have the power. They may think that they control, but they don't. We do. We shut it down. We block them. We kick them out. We join all across the world. We can shut down the world. Thank you.
Then he's 8 years. Tsaka's 8 years. Sky's 8. Now you know why we're a matrilineal society. We have the power of the women, the life givers, knowing what is the right thing to do at the right time, saying the proper words to the proper people, making actions happen. When they talk about the hope, yes, you need that hope, as Sleydo said. But also so does industry and government. They hope you'll be silent. They'll hope you'll go away. And they'll hope you'll let them continue. That should never happen. That portion of hope should never exist. When our ladies put their lives on the line, and I think they're far too modest. Sleydo was there, she was arrested. They came through her door with axes and power. Eve was arrested. She didn't say it, she's Wass's daughter, Chief Wass's daughter, the very territory that you see in the film. That's her father, he is the chief of that territory. So when you hear the ladies talk and they speak from the heart, they're giving you directions. Directions to be human, directions to speak up, directions to be seen, heard, and felt. And when you get those directions, you follow them. Yes, I'm a hereditary chief. Yes, I'm a male. But boy, when the women talk, you better bloody well listen. So when the women talk, the life givers, they're speaking from the heart, and they're talking to your heart. You know the government and industry, RCMP, they try to use fear and intimidation. I hope none of you have gentle words, because there's a documentary coming out, and there's a great portion of it that always sticks with me. Where the RCMP were out in the territory and they took over the radio-controlled roads, so they shut down everything, the same way they shut down communication. Do you know when they do their raids over our territory, the 3 that they've done, they even shut down the airspace, like all commercial traffic must be diverted over our airspace when they're raiding us. But over the radio-controlled forestry service roads that are out there, they start playing music from horror movies. It's all psychological attack, right? That's what they want. They want to wear you down. And then they get on there and they say, "We're coming to get you." You know what Sleydo said? "Bring it on, motherfucker." Those are going to be my last words, and that's what you need to tell government and industry.
Thank you guys for sharing such powerful words. I'd now like to introduce our final speaker. I'd like to introduce Reverend Dr. Nnimmo Bassey. He is a world-renowned social environment justice advocate. He's for over 20 years. He's worked with the organization, Environmental Rights Action in Nigeria. And he has also won many awards, including the Right Livelihood Award, which is the Alternative Nobel Peace Prize. So without further ado.
Thank you. A people united can never be defeated. A people united can never be defeated. A people united can never be defeated. I am so happy to be here tonight, because I see that our struggles around the world are so interconnected, and so is the energy, so is the hope, and so is the determination for the struggle until victory is won. And as you said, I believe that we're going to get the victory. We are so inspired by the struggles against pipelines in North America, in Latin America, the struggle for the forest, struggle for land, and we have the same conviction in Africa. The struggle for the environment, the struggle for land is the struggle for life. We call ourselves sons and daughters of the soil because our lives are connected with Mother Earth. And we stand against colonial invasions of our territories. Right now, just like you saw in that map of Mexico, you saw the pipelines are all going to the coastlines. Because the pipelines are leading for resources to be taken out of our territories. In Africa, we're having over 90% of infrastructure for fossil fuel development, all for export. Strictly colonial. It's almost like the destruction of humans during slavery. Everything is being taken out, and we don't well, we believe there should be an end to the petroleum civilization, but before as it winds down, we don't want our territories to be damaged just because somebody needs petroleum for energy somewhere else. And so this is the heart of the struggle. The deltas are all being invaded. The Niger Delta has been destroyed for 65 years. The Salom Delta in Senegal is being assaulted right now, and the fisher folks are saying they don't want any fossil fuel infrastructure in their territory. Okavango in Namibia and Botswana, the same thing is happening. Recon Africa is a Canadian company that is destroying, that is threatening to damage that World Heritage location where you have over 200,000 indigenous people living. And they just went there to begin to extract fossil fuels. And this will spell doom to that territory and to our people. We're having the same problem in Uganda. Right in a national park, crude oil is being extracted to be transported by pipeline to Tanzania to send out of the continent. In Cabo Delgado, in Mozambique, the same thing is going on. This madness simply has to stop. I believe that global solidarity of peoples is the solution, is the way forward. Capital has ruined the world. The people have to take over the world and run the world, working with all our relatives. Those with 2 legs, those with 4 legs, those with 10 legs, we're all together to fight for a safe world. As I'll be going back to Africa, I'm going back with fond memories. All the words I've heard from you, all the words I've heard from our elders, my chiefs, and my heart is full. We have the potential to win this fight, to save the world from itself, because the wisdom is with the indigenous people. We've got the wisdom, we've got the power, and together we'll win. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to invite all the panelists who spoke tonight to come on up. We're really grateful that all the panelists took the trip and took the time to share their incredible stories with us. We hope to see you guys tomorrow at the March and Rally, which will start at Nathanville Square at 1 p.m. And now we're going to close with Evil Heart.
The song we're going to sing is called the Leonard Peltier song. You guys know him, right? Or heard about him? Yeah, we remember him too. We know he's defending our right for 47 years now. He's been incarcerated, so I think I have a good thought for him.